Hey everyone, welcome back to Destination Fulfillment. I'm Janine.
And I'm Rodney.
And today we're going to be talking about breaking out of your comfort zone.
That's right. Today we're talking about breaking out of your comfort zone. The topic that many people feel like they've heard time and time again, but oddly enough, not many people have actually done it. They're not following the steps. They're not taking the time to really break out of their comfort zone. They're feeling like they're stuck in a rut, doing the same old thing day in and day out, and not feeling fulfilled.
And sometimes you don't even realize that you're in a pattern of not breaking out of your comfort zone.
Let's call it what it is. It's a rut. We fall into ruts.
It's a rut, but it also, I feel like sometimes you're just going along, doing your thing, things are fine. It's a pattern. It's not always a rut. It can be a rut, but it's a pattern, and you're just doing your thing. But by just doing your thing and going through that rut or that pattern, you're not advancing. You're not stepping up.
Right. And the more we reinforce a behavior or a pattern and continually do this thing that we're doing that's not really benefiting us, the more we're reinforcing it and making it concrete. Concrete, like we're building a blueprint.
Yeah.
And this is something that Tony Robbins speaks a lot about in his teachings, is having a blueprint for our lives. You know, it's all based off of our values and our beliefs we were raised with, and that blueprint is ultimately no more or less than what we believe we deserve. What do I mean by a blueprint? A blueprint is what we see as the design for our life. And every day we go through life, we are working to build that house. So if you have a blueprint for a house that you're planning to build, every day, you know, that house is your life. So you have your roadmap, and every day you're working towards that.
Yep.
That blueprint can be changed at any point. You could go back to the architect, be like, hey, you know what? I want to add on an extra bedroom.
Or maybe I want to move the kitchen from the east wing to the west wing.
Wings. How many of us dream of having a house where we have different wings of the house?
Okay.
It's possible.
It is possible.
We
I
can
guess
all have it.
That's true.
So this blueprint for our life is really just based on what we believe we deserve. If you believe what you want and deserve to have out of life, and what you want is that standard typical American house of 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, small yard, 2-car garage, you're looking at white picket fence, like 1,200 to 1,400 square feet, whatever, and that's your blueprint, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But ask yourself, why are you set on that? Are you settling?
Maybe not. It depends on where you're at currently. You know, if your blueprint is to build that white picket 1,200 square foot, would you say 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a backyard, but you currently live in a
1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, I was gonna say a 300 square foot shoebox. Hey, I've been there. Then that house is gonna feel like a mansion, and building up to that point is gonna feel like a success. But when you get there,
it's gonna be an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that says that it can't change along the way, which is what we just mentioned. Like, at any point along the way, you can alter that blueprint, but it has to be a conscious choice. The only way to make that choice and make that change is to change your behavior and change your patterns, getting out of that comfort zone. I'll give it to you another way. There's another great speaker, life motivator, coach out there his name is Ed Milet. And he has a little bit of a different analogy along the same lines called the thermostat analogy, So let's say you have that house that we talked about, and you got central air and central heat, and it's all wired into one convenient thermostat mounted on your wall somewhere. You have it set where you like it. You have your life set to your comfort zone, that comfortable temperature where you want it to stay all the time. We'll call it 72 degrees.
That's my comfort zone.
That's your comfort zone. Personally, mine's more around 68, and this is something you should talk about with your, potential spouse before they become your spouse, just so you know where you stand and where you can compromise.
Obviously, we did not, so.
Then we compromised just fine.
We
Don't
compromised
let
at
her fool
70.
Yes. So, back on topic. Your thermostat, your comfort zone is set to 72 degrees. If anything makes it get a little hotter than that, say it's a really hot day outside, somebody left a window open or a door open, and the hot air's come in, and it's turned the temperature up in the house to say 75, 78, your air conditioner, that thermostat is going to kick on that air conditioner and bring that temperature back down to that 72. On the flip side, if it's a really cold day out and something's going on, and like I said, a door's open, a window's open, you're letting things in, and it drops down that temperature. That thermostat is going to kick the heater on and bring up that temperature back to that comfort zone. You and your subconscious work the exact same way. So, bringing this into reality, into an example that we can all understand, if you are someone who's living paycheck to paycheck, you don't know how, you always make it work, you make ends meet, you never get ahead, you're not really falling behind, you just you're stuck there and you're struggling.
Yeah, we lived like that for several years when we were living in San Francisco. Half our paycheck went to rent, and we somehow made everything else work.
Now, we have a perfect example. Just a month ago, we had an unexpected vet bill come up. Now, an unexpected expense like that, in this case for us it was $1,200, when you have something like that come up, it's easy to be like, oh my God, I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford this bill and pay my rent and do all the other things that I need to do, cell phones, utilities, car payment, gas shortages, and paying for that gas. But you figure it out. You make it work.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to the boss. You say, hey, can I come in on Saturday if you need me? Work that extra day, get that overtime, do whatever you gotta do. You figure it out in a way to make that extra money for that time to pay that bill. And on the flip side, let's say you get a bonus at the end of the year. Many people just take that bonus and they're like, woohoo, I got some extra money, let's go to Vegas, let's go out to the club or the bar, have a good time, I'm going to pick up a run for you, and let's really just enjoy it.
Or maybe it's buying a TV you don't need, or a handbag you don't need, or something that is, material that you really don't need.
Something that's not going to advance your situation. And before you know it, you started out that month ahead by, say, $1,000. And before you know it, at the end of the month, you're right back in the same predicament you were in.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't paid off that bill. You haven't put it into an investment account to where it can earn money for you. You haven't invested in yourself by buying that book or taking that course that you've been really wanting to take, and it's been something in the back of your mind, and you're not doing that. So that's how our comfort zone, our subconscious works like a thermostat to bring us back down to where we're at. Whenever we get a little bit extra, we find a way or a reason to spend it, and we're right back where we were. When we find ourselves a little bit in the hole, we find a way to get ourselves back up. But now imagine, getting yourself out of a hole when there was no hole. You're not getting yourself back to level or even. You're getting yourself up a notch. You're taking yourself to the next level. And that's what we want to get you to do. That's what we want to show you how to do.
So there's some easy steps you can take to leave your comfort zone and get in the habit of leaving your comfort zone. One of the classes that I took while I was in grad school was actually all about this. They called it a leadership course, but it was literally just every week we had a challenge to do something we've never done before and to get out of our comfort zone. And it wasn't necessarily do something you've never done before. It was just something that you're uncomfortable with.
It's probably called a leadership course because you're showing yourself how to lead a more productive life so that you can then turn around and lead others.
Exactly. And it was also, the premise was also that if you step out of your comfort zone and you do something that you're not comfortable with, you learn things about yourself along the way. So, for example, the number one fear is public speaking.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I've never had that personally.
I haven't either. I get the jitters right before I go in front of a group, but I find it exhilarating. But that's the same thing that some people are scared of, you know?
And, we're here to help educate small business owners and entrepreneurs, on different tactics that they can use to grow and build their business and find success in those businesses. And if you have a dream of leading a business, that's going to come with a lot of public speaking parts. You're going to have to speak to groups both small and large, whether that's your employees or clients. You're going to have to be comfortable with speaking with people.
Or if your company gets big enough, and we hope, you're likely going to be invited to come speak to other companies or come speak to like mastermind groups or other things like that. So being comfortable speaking in front of other people is going to help you immensely. So how do you do it?
Yeah, how do you step out of your comfort zone when it comes to public speaking where there is little to no risk?
Well, one thing that I know you've done, and I've actually wanted to try this before but never gotten around to it, is join a Toastmasters group.
Yeah, that's right. I did actually do this in my senior year of high school, and I was a part of this group for a couple of years, and I actually joined this group to improve my speaking skills because I was actually going to be giving the valedictorian speech at my high school, and no
I was
bragging.
Clapping for him.
But that's why I joined the group, and I wanted to improve my speech giving skills to a large audience, and that's what Toastmasters is all about. It's a way for you to, or in a place for you to feel safe in a small group setting where you can write a speech about anything, and you go in maybe once a week, once every couple of weeks, depending on the group in your area, and you're able to perform your speech in front of a safe audience where they will give you feedback. They're not going to ridicule you. Everybody's there to help one another grow in their speaking abilities.
Another really good thing that I kind of got to participate in a little bit during this leadership course was taking improv classes, and that can really help your public speaking skills because you have to think on your feet, and sometimes when you're public speaking, things don't go exactly as planned. Maybe the prompter goes out, or you have a heckler, or you get a random question from left field. So taking an improv class helps you learn how to actually
just roll with the punches.
Yeah, roll with the punches. Be comfortable in front of an audience you don't know.
Yeah, be able to take those curveballs, when you get those questions.
And think on your feet. And doing that actually helped me. I wasn't scared of public speaking before, but it actually helped me become a better public speaker because I was able to like you said, better roll with the punches when I had questions and odd things come up.
Another thing you can do if you're not interested in doing any of these is just jump on a lamppost. Go old school, singing in the rain. Just jump on a lamppost, twirl around, and randomly talk to people. Don't be afraid to look silly. I mean, when you lower your guard and you don't care what other people think, you will find that there's a freedom in that, where you don't worry or fear about the judgment of other people, and you just allow yourself to be free and have fun and enjoy the moment. Be silly. Be adventurous.
And now is actually a great time to do that, because all the reports are coming out saying because we've been in quarantine for like a year and a half, or we've been socially distancing for about a year and a half now, everyone is super socially awkward. They don't know how to interact with each other. Apparently everyone just forgot. So now it's a great time to take advantage of everyone's just like, nobody knows what to do, so you do you.
Right. And when I say like jump on a lamppost and, hop up on a planter somewhere and shout something out, I know it sounds really silly, and it is, and that's the point. Get up there, say hello to the world, say, good morning, how's everyone doing today, do whatever, like an opening line for a speech, look at it that way. And you're going to have people stop and stare and look at you, but you know what? You're going to exercise those vocal muscles. You want to make sure you can be heard from the people in the back, and they're going to look at you weird, and that's what everybody feels like right now when they stand up in front of an audience. They feel like they have everybody's eyes on them and that they're judging them and looking at them weird. But that's not the case 99.9% of the time. So, but when you put yourself in a situation with that forced awkwardness and you learn to adapt and roll with the punches and just not be afraid to be silly, then you are going to grow with that. The more you can do those types of things, don't be afraid to be the person to give a speech or a toast at, a friend's birthday party or your parents' anniversary party. You do these things, and when it comes to getting into the corporate sense and the business sense of it, these things are going to become more natural to you because you're doing them in your personal time. So
yeah.
you can go ahead.
Go ahead.
So it's not all about business and becoming a great speaker in front of a sales group or anything like that. There's also leaving your personal comfort zone, and that will transfer over to every part of your life as well. Now, what do we mean by your personal comfort zone? Like once a week, do something you've never done before, like you were saying in that class that you took. Doing things almost like a bucket list.
Yeah, it's almost exactly like a bucket list. The course that I took was about 3 months long, and each week we had to do something and then report back on it. And the transformative experience wasn't just going through the bucket list. Like, we literally, on the first day of class, we literally wrote down a list of things that we wanted to do.
I can give you an example.
Okay, give me an example.
In the last 6 months, I have checked 2 things off of my bucket list. I've gone skydiving for the first time, and I've visited a foreign country for the first time. Granted, that foreign country was Canada to the north. I didn't have to get on a plane or get on a cruise ship or anything like that, but it was the first time I had actually stepped out of the United States.
Foreign country.
It wasn't a very long visit, and like I said, I didn't have to, book a flight or anything. It was simply a drive north. We went across the border. We spent about a day and a half, and then we were back in the U.S. after visiting the Toronto area. But those are 2 things that have been on my bucket list for a long time, and they were things that I wanted to do, and I hadn't done them. And it's not because of a fear, because you're comfort zone in your bucket list is not all about fear. It's part of it, but it could also just be something that you make excuses why you don't do it, and it could be something that you want to do, but you're constantly like, I can't afford it right now, I can't do this right now. But these are experiences that you want to have also, not just ones that you're afraid to experience.
So, for example, one of the things that I did during this course that I was not necessarily afraid of doing, but just never really got around to doing, was riding on a motorcycle.
Vroom.
At this time, Rodney and I had been dating for about 6 months, maybe. Less than that? Okay, less than that. And I was going through this course, and I was like, well, I've never ridden a motorcycle. Well, why haven't you ridden a motorcycle? I wasn't allowed to when I was a kid, and it just never crossed my mind. But
this was weird to me because I literally got a motorcycle for Christmas when I was 4 years old. Like, my birthday's in January, so it was right before I turned 5, but I actually got a motorcycle, an actual dirt bike motorcycle, helmet, boots, the whole works for Christmas. So this was really weird to me because this is just something I grew up with. So
what did I do? He took me on his motorcycle, not the 4-year-old dirt bike, but
but a full-grown adult vroom vroom motorcycle.
And I was very nervous, but we went on the ride and it was fun, and I don't think I've been on a motorcycle since, actually.
No, but that bike has been sold to really follow our pursuits and our dreams, and it no longer fit in the lifestyle. It might again one day, I hope, but for the time being, it was the best choice for me at the time.
Right.
And that's another one of those things. You gotta make a sacrifice every now and then to follow your dreams. Something that isn't a necessity and might be standing in the way of you being able to follow your dreams. Even though it's something you enjoy, you can always come back to that enjoyment later. So don't be afraid to sacrifice some things in the short term so that you can really make your big dreams happen.
Yeah, it's sacrificing the now for what you can gain in the future. But also, so after going through that whole experience, I went back and I had to report on the experience to my class. And the whole reflection process is actually what I think is the most valuable part of this whole stepping out of your comfort zone. Because it's one thing to say, okay, I've never ridden on a motorcycle before, or I've never been to another country, and okay, I rode on my motorcycle, cool, what next? But if you can take a step back and reflect on it and be like, okay, how did I feel when I was riding on that motorcycle? How did I feel right before I stepped on it? My level of trust for Rodney had to be, in my mind, like out of this galaxy. Like, you can. I was trying not to focus on all the So my trust in Rodney had to be out of this world, and all these things were going through my mind before I even got on the motorcycle. I was trying not to focus on all the accidents I've heard about and all the disasters I've heard about. And then once we're finally on the motorcycle, I'm pretty sure I was practically suffocating him from holding on to him so tightly. But eventually I was able to relax and enjoy the ride. And I can't remember where we went. I think we went bowling.
Yep.
And, so we pulled up next to all these other bikes, and I was felt kind of cool, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling myself. And, we went bowling, and then the ride back, I didn't have any of those anxieties or any of those, apprehensions on the ride back. And, of course, I walked back into the house, and we were at my in-laws' house, and the first thing his mom goes, so how'd you like it? And I enjoyed it, and I would do it again. But, telling my class about this and having this reflection is like, I was so anxious about getting onto a motorcycle that like I almost didn't do it my entire life just because I never done it before, so why do I need to do it now?
Yeah, and that's a great example of making an excuse as to why you don't do something. I've lived my entire life without doing it thus far. At this point, like, do I really need to do this? Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Get out there, experience life, enjoy your life. Do the things that you haven't done before, whether you haven't done it because you have a fear about it, or whether it's just an excuse because you're someone like me who doesn't really like spending money on themselves. You feel like it's frivolous and it's unnecessary. But you know what? Screw it. Spend a couple $100 and go skydiving. Enjoy the experience.
And to be clear, this is different than what we were talking about earlier in the episode when we were saying, like, you can't get ahead if you're constantly getting yourself back in the comfort zone. Things cost money. We understand that, right? But if you get a bonus at the end of the year, you get $1,000 bonus at the end of the year, and you spend it on something that you don't really need, it's only going to make it so that you're keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak, then it's not valuable. The ROI, the return on the investment, is low. But if you take that same $1,000 and you invest it towards something that you've never done before, something that's going to get you out of your comfort zone, then the ROI, the return on investment on it, is going to be exponential.
Right. And these are all examples of expanding your horizons. And like you mentioned, you have to reflect on it. You have to realize what you've learned about yourself. What new knowledge do you have about your limitations and your capabilities? You should be at this point thinking like, wow, I really can do this, or like, I'm not limited like I thought I was. And these are all examples of how you get out of your comfort zone so that you can then propel your business and your career to the next level by facing down those fears and truly reevaluating what you believe you are worth. So once you know you're worth more, you can change that blueprint, change the thermostat, kick it up a notch, and really start sweating and put in that sweat equity so that you can take your business and your career to the next level. It's not all about financials, because you could spend money and you're going to find a way to replace it and stay at that same level. But if you spend money on something that teaches you how amazing you are as a person and how your limitations are limitless, how you have the ability, the strength, the courage to do whatever it is that scares you, and know that there's a saying that bravery is not the absence of fear, it's the ability to act despite the fear.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to teach yourself that, hey, even though this scares me, I can do it, this is going to transfer to every area and every aspect of your life. You are going to be able to conquer the world starting at home, starting in your own life, then branching out into your business, your career, the community, and just explode and take over the world if you want. Not literally. We don't need any more dictators. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. If you're when you step outside of your comfort zone, it opens up insurmountable opportunities, especially when you take the time to step back and reflect on what it did for you. Like when you went skydiving, I remember I didn't go with him.
She watched from the ground.
I watched from the ground as my husband plummeted towards the earth. That was fun. But when he landed and he came walking back towards me, he was so pumped and he had so much adrenaline. and he talked me into doing it. I haven't done it yet. I told him what is it, New Zealand?
New Zealand.
Yeah, I told him.
I did it over the Grand Canyon in December. It was actually New Year's Eve, I believe,
Yeah.
or the day before New Year's Eve.
Something like that.
But yeah, I did it in the end of December, and it was an amazing experience over the Grand Canyon. It was cold. You know, I know people don't realize it, but Arizona does get snow in the higher elevations, and the Grand Canyon, at least the rim of the Grand Canyon, is a higher elevation, and it did have snow on the ground when I went skydiving. But it was amazing, and she's like, all right, yeah, you had such an amazing time with that, you convinced me, but you have to take me to New Zealand. So, all right, well, you know, I've always wanted to go to a foreign country, and so that's another thing on the bucket list we've just added to it. Like, I enjoyed skydiving so much, I took skydiving off my bucket list and now added skydiving in New Zealand.
To my bucket list.
To our bucket list.
To our bucket list.
I mean, it's these things that you just, you know, you have a goal, and then once you accomplish that goal, the goal changes and transfers, and you hit one milestone, and now you write up another milestone. It's the same with these blueprints for your life. You might be in that one-bedroom apartment right now with the goal of owning a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. That might be your plan for you. But, you know, if you have, you know, your God, the universe, whatever, has a plan for you too. And you might think that your plan ends at 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. But, you know, you might get to the point where you can now afford that, and all of a sudden things explode for you because you are following your true purpose, and you're not afraid to take risks and step out of your comfort zone. And all of a sudden you have that 10-bedroom, 12-bathroom mansion with an Olympic-sized swimming pool and a 12-car garage and maids and butlers and all of this. And it's truly possible. If that's what you believe you're worth and that's what you want, go for it. Go after it. Don't be afraid to start small, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you don't have to jump out of a plane to prove that you can step out of your comfort zone. You could do something as small as buying a stranger a cup of coffee with no intention of getting anything out of it, just to be a good human being and randomly buying a cup of coffee for a stranger, or, you know, helping somebody out, you know, with knowing that there's no way that they can ever repay you, and or you're not looking for a repayment, you're not looking for a relationship from this person or anything like that. You're just doing something nice for someone else.
It doesn't even have to be for someone else. Like, I love that it's for someone else, but it doesn't have to be for someone else. Maybe you get social anxiety, and the thought of sitting at a restaurant alone scares the crap out of you. When I was in college, I knew people who would never go to the cafeteria by themselves because they didn't want to they didn't want people to think that they were lonely or didn't have friends or whatever, so they'd never go to the diner by themselves. And it's when you do that, you end up like not eating for, you know, up to like 1 to 2 meals a day. Like, I knew people who would skip meals because they didn't want to go to the diner by themselves and everyone else was in class. Like, so, you know, simple stuff like that. You can do it by yourself. Take a book, go sit at a cafe, read your book, drink some coffee. Look what you just did. You proved to yourself that you can step out of your comfort zone. You're becoming more self-aware, and that makes you who you are today and who you can be tomorrow.
And like we said, reflect on these experiences. You know, when you reflect on the experiences outside that you've taken to get outside of your comfort zone, you open yourself up to new perspectives, new ideas about what's possible, and it can even give you new solutions for a problem that you've been struggling with that's completely unrelated. It might give you that spark of inspiration to come up with a new way of doing things. I mean, even if, you know, jumping out of a plane was terrifying and you never want to do it again, you'll know you have the bravery to overcome any other fear. And what's funny is, I actually, when I went skydiving in December, this was a service where they literally like send the plane up in the air like right after it comes back down with more people. I actually skydived with a woman who was skydiving for the second time, and when she went skydiving the first time, she said she never thought she would ever do it, but she wanted to face her fear and do it just once. Before she did it the first time, she never had any intention of doing it ever again. But she, wanted to do it at least once in her life to overcome that fear. And you know why she did it the second time?
I think I remember you telling me a story.
They offered to let her do it a second time. It was literally the same day. She had just gone skydiving that morning, the same day that I went, like an hour before me. And something happened. They were supposed to record it for her, like on a GoPro camera, and something happened with the camera, and they weren't able to get the video. And she had no intention of ever doing it again, so they were going to basically be like, hey, look, today's jump was free, no charge, or we can send you up and you could do it again with no additional charge. She decided to, screw it, I'm going to go skydiving again. So she had only planned to go skydiving one time in her life, and that was it. And she ended up going skydiving twice in the same day.
That's ballsy.
Right? So reflect on these experiences. Learn something about yourself. Realize that your potential is limitless. You can do whatever it is you want to do. You can take your business to the next level. You can, a lot of people fear making cold calls, and they're making it about themselves.
I hate cold calls. I hate cold calls. I loathe them.
But and that's another thing I don't understand, because if you're cold calling somebody for your business, for your product, you must with 100% of your being believe in the product or service that you're offering. You know that service or product is going to change this person's life, that their life will become better because you came into their life. And you can't come into their life unless you make that cold call. So make the call. Realize that it's not about you being awkward. You're not taking up their time. You're not being a burden or an inconvenience. You're being a blessing. You want to get out there, make that call, change these people's lives. That's why you got into the business. Cold calling is nothing to be afraid of. You're going to have people say, no, thank you, not today, I'm busy.
Cuss you out, hang up on you.
Whatever. But you know what? The more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get with it. And the key to it all is believing in your product. Believing with all the passion in your being that this product or this service that you're offering is going to change this person's life in ways that they can't even understand yet. And it's your job to help them understand it and help them make the decision that's going to radically change their life, alter the course of their future. It's not about you. When cold calling is the thing people ask me about, it's not about you. It's about the product. Do you believe in the product? Yes? Okay. You're marketing the product. You're not marketing yourself. Get out there and offer it up. Change people's lives. So, this has been a little bit long-winded. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, just, yes. I always say that. No, but actually, one thing that popped up for me when we were talking about bucket lists is, like, people always say, like, oh yeah, that's on my bucket list, like, very ephemeral, like, it's some imaginary list in the air. It's like my movie list. When people are like, oh, you should watch that, I'm like, yeah, I'll add it to the list. I don't have a list.
She doesn't have a list. She doesn't care about watching movies.
I don't care about
much.
watching movies. But we actually have a bucket list, and
a written out
bucket list. So it's on an app that's called To Do. I think it's by Microsoft.
Yep.
But it's the same app we use for a shopping list, for a grocery list.
Yep, it's just a different list.
It's just a different list.
Pull it up.
Make your bucket list real. Like, make it physical.
Make it something that you can
it's
actually check off.
It's the first one that pops up because I just added go to the Virgin Islands.
Nice.
But we have seen Niagara Falls. We want to go to the top 5 zoos.
The top 5 zoos in the world are on our bucket list.
Eat sushi in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Walk the Great Wall of China. Hike the Pacific Crest Trail.
Be at New York City on New Year's Eve.
Go dog sledding. Try out a zero gravity chamber.
Hike through the Amazon.
Glass blowing. Take a glass blowing class. Like, some of these are, very extravagant. But others are simple.
Yes. Others are like a weekend class you can take. There's kayaking with orcas on there. Like, you just got to get yourself to, like, the Pacific Ocean at the right time of the year and, rent a kayak kind of thing. Take a guided tour. It's like a weekend trip, especially if you live, like, on the West Coast.
Yeah. So, basically, make it so that it's something... So the point is make your bucket list real so that when you do have time and extra money or you're bored and you don't know what to do, you can pull it up and check something off the list. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You're accomplishing 2 things. You're marking something off your bucket list. You're stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Yep. And reflect on the experience that you have.
Yep. Write a blog. Or tell a friend. Learn
something about yourself. About what you're capable of. About what your perspectives on yourself were before and after. Give yourself a new perspective. Give yourself a new item to go on that bucket list. I think for basically in the last year, for everything we've marked off of our bucket list, we've added at least 2 more things.
At least, yeah. We'll have random conversations and be like, oh, I really want to do that. Well, let's put it on the list.
Put it on the list. Let's do it. I mean, we're young. We're in our early 30s. We have our entire lives ahead of us. There's no reason to wait till retirement either. Get yourself out there. Don't wait for retirement to start living your life. You're working your ass off every day right now for retirement. No. You're going to work your butt off and not enjoy yourself for 30 years or 40 years so that you can then tell yourself that you're going to do all these things in retirement. Very few people that say that actually end up doing it. I know a couple who have, and I know many who haven't.
Yep. That
have gone through retirement, and they just kind of, their perspective and their ideas change, and they want to just spend time with their grandkids, and they end up never going to go on that European vacation that they always said they were going to do.
Yep. All right. I think we've pretty much covered everything except for Rodney's rules. But before we get to that, please make sure that you subscribe, share, follow us on Instagram, send us an email, visit our website.
LinkedIn, Facebook, everything is under Diorio Coaching. At Diorio Coaching. That is DEIORIO Coaching. DiorioCoaching.com is the website. You can follow me personally at Rodney Diorio. It's just RODNEY DEIORIO. On Instagram is the best place to follow me personally, and I look forward to hearing from you. Shoot me a message in your DMs. Tell me what you've done and what you've added to your bucket list, and more importantly, tell me what you marked off of your bucket list. So,
all right. Rodney's rules.
So the rule for the day in this week's episode is truth or dare. The truth is, not truth or dare, truth and dare. The truth is, that every day you spend worrying about what other people might say is an opportunity wasted. I dare you to try to look silly in someone else's eyes. Don't care what others think about you. Their thoughts and judgments are for and about them, not about you. When you purposely put yourself out there to try to look silly in someone else's eyes, and you accomplish that silliness, you'll realize that looking silly has little impact on you. There's nothing that's going to throw you off of your game by looking silly in front of someone else. Oh well, it's a moment. It passes. Move on from it. Alright, I'll repeat that. The truth is that every day you spend worrying about what other people might think is an opportunity wasted. I dare you this week. I dare you to try to look silly in someone else's eyes. Have a wonderful week, everybody. We'll talk to you again very soon. Get out there, start your bucket list. Bye.
Check them off. Bye.